Hello and welcome to this special news broadcast on how effective screening blood products is for hepatitis B. Looking at the general aims of blood safety in relation to the blood donation and transfusion, it's important for the potential blood donor to be assessed prior to the blood donation procedure being carried out. This initially involves a comprehensive questionnaire to ensure the donor is of low risk and healthy, to protect both the donor and the recipient. In addition, the blood donor's hemoglobin levels are assessed, aiming to prevent harm to the donor by the inappropriate removal of blood. If suitable for donation, approximately 470 mL is removed from the donor's body via the vein. This volume protects the donor from loss of too much blood and red blood cells. Before the donated blood is deemed suitable for blood transfusion, quality assured screening of the donor's blood is carried out for the presence of transmissible diseases and infections, protecting the recipient from acquiring an infection via transfusion, and also identify any unknown health problems of the donor. Blood should be tested for ABO blood type and rhesus type, which is positive or negative, to ensure compatibility and prevent adverse reactions between the donor and the recipient's blood, safeguarding the recipient. During and after blood transfusion, it is important that safe clinical transfusion procedures are followed, ensuring compatibility and also monitoring and reducing the risk of both acute allergic and delayed reactions or complications to the transfusions. Hepatitis B is a contagious disease which leads to severe liver damage, cirrhosis, failure, cancer, and in some cases death. Hepatitis B viral particles have a double-stranded DNA, a diameter of 30 to 42 nanometers, and a pleomorphic form which is a filamentous and spherical form which lacks a core. It has non-infectious lipids and proteins which form hepatitis B surface antigen, or HBsAg, and also a genetic apparatus in which cell viral genetic material is integrated. Hepatitis B is classed as a hypnaviride. It can be transmitted in three ways, being either sexually transmissible, transmitted from mother to baby during childbirth, known as vertical transmission, or transmitted via contaminated bloods and blood products and from contaminated needles, known as parenteral transmission. Hepatitis B virus screening was first introduced in 1971 by Dr. Baruch Blumberg, and there are now several specific tests used to screen blood for hepatitis B. These tests include hepatitis B surface antigen, or HBsAg, antibody to hepatitis B core antigen, or anti-HBcAg, and nucleic acid amplification testing for hepatitis B virus, or HBV NAT. Hepatitis B surface antigen is produced by the hepatitis infectious agent, and it indicates its presence in the blood. This test mainly uses highly sensitive immunoassays, ELISA, to detect the virus, and it is the most reliable marker of the presence of hepatitis B. It is detectable within 3 weeks of first exposure to the virus, and once detectable, HBsAg levels rise rapidly. Its detection can identify both acute or chronic hepatitis B, and it is an important factor in determining potential infectivity. Uh, Accutination assays can also be used, but aren't as reliable as immunoassays. Anti-HBcAg assays detection is more delayed in this stage than that of the HBsAg, so it is a less useful test in the diagnosis of hepatitis B. It indicates the start of an immune response to the hepatitis B infection and therefore detects antibody development to the presence of the virus. It gives a lifelong indicator of having had hepatitis B, however, it doesn't isolate progression of the infection, and as a result, it is unclear whether or not the infection is fully resolved or has developed into chronic hepatitis B, and this poses a difficulty in determining whether or not the donor's hepatitis B status is infectious or non-infectious. The presence of anti-HBcAg often results in safe, fully resolved blood products being discarded unnecessarily if further tests are not done to determine the infectious state of the donor's blood. Nucleic acid amplification testing for hepatitis B virus reduces the risk of transmission of hepatitis B if the donation has been obtained during the acute window period. This window is the period of time following the donor's potential exposure to the virus, but before HBsAg can be detected in the blood. HBV NAT can also be detectable in acute hepatitis B infections which have resolved and the HBsAg has disappeared. Key factors establishing blood transfusion infection and minimizing its risks include stringent biovigilance, quality control measures and regulations. Combined, these measures ensure the accurate collection, analysing and reporting of data relating to the blood and blood products is maintained, which assists the traceability of blood and blood products. And it is important to ensure that all assays used for screening have minimal sensitive and specific levels to maximize the reliability of blood screening test results. With non-reactive results, the blood and blood product donations are released for transfusion. When reactive results are obtained, the outcome depends on the efficiency of the blood transfusion services quality system. Ineffective quality systems discard the blood and the blood product donation, whereas ineffective quality systems the test repeated twice from the same sample with no variations for variety. If the result remains reactive, the donation is discarded. However, if it is found to be non-reactive, the donation is released for use. Regulations also assist with investigating and monitoring reports of potential infectious disease transmission, ensuring that in any suspected case of infected blood transfusion, that the blood component bags are sealed and analysed aseptically. They can also assist with donor and recipient being notified and with suspected infected cases being followed up, tested, and monitored. Overall, the HPV screening strategy shows that since screening was introduced in 1971, the risk of hepatitis B infections acquired via transfusion have decreased by approximately 25%. Highly sensitive and specific immunoassays are the test of best practice for screening of hepatitis B, whereas aggregation assays are not the first choice of screening for hepatitis B. However, they are still useful in emergency situations and in underdeveloped areas where immunoassays may not be available. HBV NAT has a limited usefulness in the hepatitis screening process, but this is usually only within the acute window period. Anti-HBsAg and testing for raised liver ALT levels are not a recommended form of screening for hepatitis B. All blood screening programs have their limitations. Variations in the global screening process still exist to this day, and many countries still have a high risk of acquiring hepatitis B via transfusion. The effectiveness of the screening process is dependent on the incidence and prevalence of hepatitis B infections in an area, the area's resources, and the efficiency of its blood transfusion services. Low incidence countries such as Canada have an estimated risk of 1 in 890,000 donations being contaminated directly related to donations collected during the window period. The America the, the prevalence of HBsAg in the blood in countries such as Western Europe and North America are approximately less than 2%. High incidence countries such as Sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia have a over 8% estimated risk of HBsAg being prevalent in the blood. Thank you for watching.